Welcome to the March update of the Willoughby New Haven line. I don't have a ton to share for this month, so being that it's the longest month as a teacher of the school year, at least, I think I'm going to have a lot of just running trains, but there are a few things that I want to show and tell here. First of which is I finally did something with the interior of my RS11. I painted the inside of it, and let me zoom in and show you a little bit. I'm not going to take the cab off. I probably should have taken some pictures of what it looks like, but from the inside, but I'm just going to show you what it looks like from the outside. The interior was kind of a very bright, not bright, but it was a very light tannish, palish color, and it kind of really showed through as just being empty inside. So I painted it. I thought I did a pretty decent job, but again, you don't see it really with the glare of the glass on there, and when it's running and on the layout, it doesn't really much matter as much. But for me, knowing that I now have the painted interior of it, it makes me feel better, and it looks a little better just from a first glance on the railroad. So let me zoom in and show you what that looks like from the outside. Okay, so this is a close-up, zoomed in as best as I can. You can't really make anything out. It makes me feel better knowing that the interior is painted. I should have done a before and after, but if it wasn't painted as you're seeing it now, you would probably see it looked pretty empty in there and open and pretty bright in there, for lack of better terms. It was, like I said, it was like a pale tannish beigeish color. And it would definitely show up that it was unfinished. It looked kind of just fake and toyish. So again, nothing against Rapido, because the interior is actually pretty well detailed. It's just without any paint in there, it just looked, empty and open, toyish. So makes me feel better. Again, I wish I could show you a little bit better of what it looks like in there painted. Not a big fan of taking the pieces off of this locomotive because they're so detailed and fine. I always risk breaking something, so it's kind of a process, probably why I hesitated to do it in the first place. But it's done. It makes me feel better, looks better, and it's an improvement. So again, this month I don't have a ton to show and tell of big projects, but I have been working on a lot of freight loads. So these are the first ones I'm going to show you. They're just kind of generic crates or boxes, machine loads. I use them as machinery crates or crates with machinery in them for my WV Whipple industry in downtown Willoughby. And what they are is these interior lighted boxes, essentially, that were on a kit or two kits that I had purchased a while ago. And the bottoms of them, as you see them, they're open, and you can position them behind a window and then light it, and it kind of keeps the window kind of light sealed, so only that window is lit, if that makes sense. And so I removed some excess casting parts that were on there that were probably for wires or something, I'm not really sure, just to make them smoother on the edges, and then wrapped them in tissue, Kleenex tissue. Kind of bunched it up on the bottom so I could get the wrinkles the right way. Then I used my scenery solution, which is 1 part Mod Podge, 3 parts water, brushed the whole thing over, let it dry overnight, and then cut the bottom part off so you didn't have a bunch of tissue underneath. Probably for some of them had to let that dry even more because it was overnight again, probably to allow the rest of it to dry. And then I painted it black and then used a dry brushing technique to highlight the wrinkles so they look, you know, that the wrinkles kind of come forward. And I think they came out great. It's a method that I've used before for a couple of things that I had, but I just did a bunch of them. I've got these three, I've got one on this flat car, and I have a few more sprinkled around the layout. Some are fastened behind buildings and such. This was the first one. Oh, let me show you. It's actually glued down, but I can show you the first one that I did. I'm gonna just move this. Again, I'm trying to heed the suggestion of not moving my camera too much. But from last update, I know some people were, or I guess the previous update, I moved my camera around too much, so I'm trying to heed that suggestion. But that's one that I had done. It's on some wood, and it's got wrapping around it like rope. But that was the first one I did. I have another one just like that. So I used the same method for this one as I did for the other three that you saw here, and obviously the other one on the other flat car. So that's the method that I used, and it works out really well. I think the middle one looks great on this car, and they're not fastened down, they move. Again, I know they should be, you know, tied down to the actual rail car, but for now they're just loose. But yeah, I think they came out great. So that's that. So this load here, the metal load in here, scrap metal, that was a load that I had done probably over a year ago or so. It came out pretty decent, and so I worked on a few more of these, and I have one here which is different colors of metal. I don't know if I'm completely sold on the colors, but it's got a different look to it of different other scrap metal. And so I've got that one, which I did, and again I forget, it's mounted on, I used just scrap stuff that I had laying around. This one is actually on kind of it's like the back of a sketchbook, so like particle, not like chipboard, cardboard kind of stuff. And then I used some stripping to kind of help it from warping. It actually has warped a little bit, but once you put it inside the car, it doesn't show that much that it's warped, so it kind of works. And I just experimented with the colors to make it look a little bit more like just random scrap metal, as opposed to, you know, all the same kind of metal. Could be garbage or what have you. So that was one load that I had worked on, and again I just kind of glued everything down. I forget how I glued. I think I just used my canopy glue, which is kind of my go-to glue that I use for everything. Painted the bottom of it, and then glued everything, and then kind of did layers and layers and layers of different colors on top. So that's that load. And then let me show you a few others that I did. I did a few hopper loads as well, so let me show you that. So this is an unmarked hopper that I have, and I had initially, I forget what I had on there. It was like a coal kind of load. I was never really satisfied with it. I don't really have a need for coal on my layout, really. So this is just more scrap metal, and this one's kind of a pain to take out. I will take it out though to show you the other rock load that I had made. But I used pencil shavings for this and glued them on top as kind of scrap metal, finer pieces. And I'll show you on the layout, I made a pile of this stuff as well, and I'm considering experimenting with it for scenery as well. I've got, being an art teacher, I've got tons of pencil sharpened shavings, and that's a material that has got to be used for more stuff than just this. So I'm not completely sold on the color of this stuff. Probably I need more rust on there, but it is what it is for now. It works as an extra scrap metal load. And I made a gravel one as well, which I'll show you. So let's get into that. Okay, so this is what this one looks like removed. It's actually the repurposed coal one that I had. It's on styrofoam that I shaved down. You can see how badly warped it is. But again, once it's in there, it doesn't really matter that much. It's a little higher on the sides, but that's okay. And you know, it's the pencil shavings glued down. Some parts look a little bit better than others. This part looks probably a little bit too flat. This part actually looks pretty nice if it's in focus. And then this is a gravel one that I made. I had these gravels that I had this gravel that I had, and I used some of the bigger rocks around the layout in different parts, but I had this is old plaster that I kind of crumpled up and made into rock or gravel. So don't really have a need for this on my layout as far as industries go, but it's kind of just a cool little load to have. This one again, I think is on the, yeah, it's on the card stock stuff. It's like chipboard. It's came from the back of a sketchbook, and this one didn't warp that bad actually, and it's not reinforced. And I think I did this one incorrectly. I probably should have painted the bottom of it first, but I did that after, and glued again using probably the canopy glue and a combination of that plus on top different layers of my scenic solution. So when you put it in there, it looks pretty good. I think it came out really good. So that's just a gravel load that I have made for this car, and that's that. I've got a bunch of slab metal for the WV Whipple that I will show you coming up now. So I made a bunch of metal slabs, loads of metal slabs for the WV Whipple. This is one of them. It's two different sized pieces that are strapped down, and it's got little boards underneath to kind of keep it up off the ground, so to speak, or the surface. This is another one. I kind of had fun with these, and I weathered the sides of them and added some rust. And I made a whole ton of these. I had a lot of fun. Most of them are window glazings, pieces from different Walthers kits that I've had, and they're just primed and then glued on top of each other with again the canopy glue. And again, I made a bunch of different sizes, put them on the little boards, and then tied them down with straps, which is just I guess, oh, I forget the name of it, washi tape, I think. I don't know, it's a craft kind of tape that my wife has. I had some scrap stuff that I used and cut thin strips, so it kind of looks like a metal stripping or metal wrapping. I don't know what the correct term is. I made a bunch of them. I've got probably too many of them, but again, I had fun with them. This one probably needs to get weathered a little bit on the sides. And then this one is a pipe load that I made. There are 2 rows of 3 there, with some wood in between to separate them, and then there's the strapping again around it. And then this is another just kind of loose metal load that I have of pipes that probably need to be excuse me, strapped so that they don't just continue to roll away from each other, which is probably much needed, but it works for now. So tons of metal loads. I have some bigger ones as well that aren't strapped down. Some of these might be older actually, because I had done a few of them, but I think they came out great. They work for the industries that I've got. And I've got one more type of load to show you, and then we're gonna move on. So I haven't done anything with these yet. The colors were kind of driving me nuts, but I think I got the colors of them pretty decent. These actually work pretty well in my gondolas. I can get a gondola and show you, but they're just wood beams, wood poles. And let me show you what they look like inside of a gondola, so that way it has a little bit better context. So if I pull one here take the metal load out. I know you're just staring at them now. Let's move this way. So I kind of designed them so that they fit inside the gondola, and they work in there, so I can fit a couple in there, some of the smaller ones, and they work. It was kind of designed as a gondola load, just because it's probably why I didn't wrap them, just so that I had something to put in my gondolas other than scrap metal. So I've got some wood beams. Could probably deliver those to the Caesar and West Furniture industry or the Towan Woodworks, one or the other or both. So I've got another load to kind of move around the railroad, and I think they look pretty good in there. Still not 100% on the color, but for now, again, they work. And that's that. Let me show you quickly the little scrap metal pile that I made out of pencil shavings, and then that's going to probably about wrap it up. So let's take you over there, show you, and we'll go from there. All right, so the next little bit to show you is the scrap pile of metal that I made out of pencil shavings, which is right here, which I'm pointing to. It's pencil shavings that I placed down kind of in a clump, hit it with alcohol, scenic cement, let it dry, and then painted it. Kind of basically like what I did with the hopper load. And it works in my little makeshift scrap yard here, and I think it came out really good. I'm considering using the pencil shavings as well for some kind of scenery ground cover, to kind of use as filler to kind of beef up bushes and shrubs and stuff, instead of just using clumps of, or a mass of ground foam and that kind of stuff, but to kind of do this, what you see here, and then put turf on top of it to kind of cover it up. You might see some of the wood coming through, which actually might look like brush and that kind of thing. So it might work. In my mind, it's gonna look good, but I'll have to actually do it and show you and see if it works. If I'll keep it that kind of thing going. I'm not sure if anybody's done that before, but I want to experiment with it and try it out. But that's the metal load, or the metal little pile here. I might experiment and use that kind of stuff for more, little metal scrap piles and things, garbage and whatnot. So it's a cool little technique using pencil shavings, instead of wasting that and throwing it away. It works out pretty well, I think, and came out good. So that's going to pretty much do it for the March issue, or the March update. I'm going to have some trains running. I have been doing tons of ops. I went over my operating kind of system spreadsheet last time, I believe, and it's still been working out great. It's actually kind of fun to set trains up, and it's super quick, super easy and intuitive. And then actually running them, it makes it a whole lot easier than what I had been doing in the past and struggling with. So the ops that I've been doing is still, going strong. Still like the format that I've been using. Simple Excel spreadsheet. So have a great March. It's a long month. Enjoy every day. Have fun. And we'll see you next month.